This is Independent Voice and I'm Mame. Thank you for watching. Today is a monumental day for Ethiopia and Ethiopians everywhere. The controversial dam of Ethiopia has started generating power for the country. And I would like to start by saying congratulations to Ethiopia, Ethiopians, and the continent of Africa. What a proud day. It is an honor to witness such an accomplishment. It hasn't been an easy path. It hasn't been an easy endeavor for everyone involved. This project has not been supported by any government entity, by some big corporation that has money. This project has been supported and continues to be supported by the people of Ethiopia, individuals, families, young, old, rich, poor, it didn't matter. Everyone contributed what they can. And in the end, here we are today witnessing the very first accomplishment of such a project. This is a big deal. This is huge for the country of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is striving to make sure that every family is taken care of. Ethiopia has been trying to make sure that the natural resources that belongs to the country, God-given resources, gets to serve its people first and the neighboring country next. And that has caused a lot of grief, a lot of rift, threats, long meetings, discussions, political agenda, you name it. But the people of Ethiopia were determined to make sure that this dam was built. And they did. Every penny, every dollar, every Ethiopian birr, families, individuals have contributed to this project without any hesitation. That's how much it means to the people of Ethiopia. It is an incredible feeling. Most of us don't even think about electricity, whether or not it's going to be there when we flick that switch on. It's not even a thought for most of us because there's never been an issue. For the people of Ethiopia, that has been a big issue. That has been a big concern. Almost everything, especially major things, holidays, celebrations, weddings, funerals, you had to think about whether or not power is going to be there. It's always in the back of everybody's mind. We all have experienced it. It is not an easy thing. It's not something that anybody would want to get used to. Living in the dark, literally. We all have experienced such things. We all have. It is a very proud day for every Ethiopian. It's a beautiful day. We're that much closer to the fact that we don't have to worry about sitting in the dark to eat dinner, for students to be able to study. The day has come, and this is the first step towards it. It's very exciting. It's rewarding for every individual that paid the price, especially those that had spent so much time at the project itself. During the day in that heat, at night using power, working nonstop to make sure that it was being completed as planned, risking their own safety in so many ways. Kudos to them, hats off. We're grateful. We are grateful. The country is grateful. This generation is grateful. For everyone that looks forward to the day where they don't have to worry about electricity. We're that near. We're that much near. We're that much close to that day where the country can just lit up without any hesitation. The country has faced a prolonged atrocity because of the conflict. The country has witnessed a year-long war with a homegrown enemy It is that much powerful to see the country is fighting for its sovereignty while it's building for its strength, economic capacity. It is that much powerful to know that although some wanted to see Ethiopia dismantled, a whole lot more wanted to see Ethiopia grow and be stable. What a glorious, magnificent, majestic picture to see. What a day, especially for those that have spent so much time and energy at the project, watching it happen, including for everybody that contribute towards it, those within the country and those abroad. We know that a lot of people have sent money sacrificially, not because they have more money to do, more money to give, but because it means that much more for all of us to know that with a level of determination, zeal, and courage, this can be done. And it has been done. It's an amazing experience. It hasn't been easy. It wasn't without a challenge, making it not even possible for the project to be where it's at today. I'm not interested in getting into the details today. I'm only interested in talking about how good it feels. The reward of having that zeal, that energy, that courage, to have that vision and be able to accomplish it, to see it in fruition. I think that's an amazing experience. It's an amazing feeling. The country's been celebrating all day today. We've watched it from a distance. We've joined you in that celebration, and we are with you and still saying, this is just the first step. This is just the beginning. This kind of progress needs to continue in so many different ways as the country is now facing a rebuilding of the entire country. I think this country is going to receive a level of facelift, so to speak. Even though a lot of what it already has, however scarce, has been destroyed because of a war, I think the country has an opportunity to lift itself up, to rebuild even stronger, even more beautiful, maybe even possibly with advanced technology. Anything is possible. Unity is what has done it. Coming together is what has helped. Keeping the eye on the prize is what has helped. The challenge, yes, it was disheartening. The challenge was ongoing, relentless. But the determination was even greater. The determination was even better. Ethiopia has been put on the map in such a different way lately. The rest of the world, especially the Western world, kept talking about Ethiopia in a manner that makes it look like it's not a place to be. It's at a brink of breaking, to the point where citizens were being called out of Ethiopia. But instead, a whole bunch of Ethiopians went back home. They did a homecoming kind of travel back to Ethiopia. 1 million diaspora has been invited. And a whole lot of Ethiopians went back home. We're hearing testimonies after testimonies, stories after stories of what it really is like to be there. The positive, the good, the bad, the ugly. Yes, the country needs a lot of help. But this gives everybody an incredible level of energy, an incredible level of strength, determination, zeal. The dam itself, glorious, vast, huge, golden opportunity for Ethiopia. The majestic nature of the dam itself gives a sense of strength. I call it the golden water. It's not just water, it's actually golden, because it is our ticket out of poverty. This is just a beginning. This is one of many chapters that the country is going to see in terms of developing itself, in terms of economic independency, in terms of not having to continue to look for hand-me-downs, being threatened to buckle down and agree to certain things, or else face the consequence. In the last year and a half, we've witnessed different countries, different power-to-be's threatening to take the one thing that the country needs: humanitarian support, making it difficult for the country to survive, to feed its people, enforcing the country to buckle down, to compromise the sovereignty of the country, which is quite a shame. We know the country has seen better days. As they say, even this shall come to pass. Everyone that I talk to is determined to engage in the rebuilding of the country. Small, large, whatever capacity. We shall see the better Ethiopia in the near future. We shall see the better continent of Africa in the near future. At this juncture, using this opportunity, what I would like to say is, as I had indicated already, unity is what has done it. Strength came from that unity. Coming together, putting every penny together, putting every dollar together, and being loyal to the project and doing what needed to be done. Paying the price, sacrificing time, energy, comfort, you name it. It paid up. It's a beautiful feeling to watch people smile because the country is about to light up, not only Ethiopia, but Africa, maybe the neighboring countries. I just want to say congratulations. You've done it. I have with me today Mr Wendelson, straight up from the homeland Ethiopia, celebrating. And he's going to tell us what the vibe was, how the momentum was, and how everybody's feeling about this experience. And I would like to welcome him and maybe have him introduce himself real quick and tell us what it's like to be there in this historical moment.
Okay, thank you for having me, Wendelson. I think totally I've been in the States for about 30 years, and I haven't been in Ethiopia for the last 7 years. I'm so glad I'm here at this moment where it looks like the beginning of change of history is happening, especially based on the yesterday's incident of firing up of the first generation of our dam, which the whole country went through so many challenges. And not only that, the vision 7 years ago, vision of Emperor Haile Selassie, it's a very exciting time celebrating yesterday on the live transmission of the incident.
Knowing that this is just the beginning, what does this mean to people like at the local level?
The local level, anybody that cares for our mothers and sisters and daughters, everybody's so excited about it because 376 megawatt means about half of the Gibe 3 dam, which is the biggest dam. So this is only one of the 13 turbines that was turned on yesterday, and we can imagine how much power is going to be put into our grid soon to follow. So everybody, 100% of the people were happy. I haven't heard anybody that's not excited about what happened yesterday. Matter of fact, since it was Sunday, I happened to be in a church, and the church message was clearly apolitical. They wanted to make sure they was very clear. They are not perceived as taking sides politically, but for the women and for the people and for the country's future, everybody was celebrating this act of God. That's how they put it, which is it's by the grace of God that all this happened, and it was so much gratefulness and thankfulness to God. Yes,
that is absolutely a good thing to hear, because it isn't by power nor by might,
exactly.
right? The water comes from the skies. I
Yes,
call it the liquid gold.
yes,
That is our liquid gold, so majestically just laying out there and protecting itself and giving so much hope to the country of Ethiopia. So that's wonderful. Hopefully our ladies, our moms and sisters, whoever else is facing the traditional way of preparing meals, who has faced sitting in the dark for not even knowing whether or not there's going to be power for holidays, celebration, for weddings, or even funerals. What was the main message from the prime minister?
you know, it was very precise, short, and focused on thanking God for allowing this to happen. Then the next message was for the people that contributed, starting from the visionary king that started it 70 years ago. He mentioned the other leaders in Ethiopia, Prime Minister Meles and Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn, who was present on the site on the celebration. So they all were mentioned. They all were honored for their vision as well as for their work, in spite of all the challenges. And then the last one, and I thought it was very important message, was for the downstream countries, especially for Sudan and Egypt. The one thing that the prime minister mentioned was, okay, now this chapter is completed, so let us go work together. You know, Egypt already is connected with Europe in transmitting power, so we can use the extra power that we're going to be generating. Plus, let's plan on building more dams on this basin that we have. So it's just very exciting, and let's work together, and it's a win-win situation. No water is lost. Actually, we're going to be conserving more water, and the message was let's walk on solidarity. So yes,
Awesome.
it was a very good message. Yes, ma'am.
Was there any conversation about its economic implication?
Uh, well, among the people, more among the people than the dignitaries that were celebrating the incident. But yes, even by the way, talking about economics, one of the conversations that I heard was even the natural gas, or the is it natural gas or propane gas that we use for cooking in the cities. Um, it has doubled the last probably 3 or 4 months. So a small cylinder of 35 kilogram, I think 30 kilogram, used to be about 1,500 birr. Right now it's 3,200 birr.
Wow.
So people are converting into electricity even for cooking in Addis, even in Addis. But all over the country, we're going to clean energy and then renewable energy, and it's just very exciting. Yes, economically, and power is the base of a country's well-being. Yes.
Great, that's good to hear. I know you're probably driving and not necessarily conducive to do this, so I'll ask you one more question and then maybe we could wrap this up, and I apologize, it's maybe inconvenient. So you're one of the few people that went back to Ethiopia in the invitation of the going home or coming home a million diaspora invitation. What was the experience like?
Two outstanding things on that experience. Number one is the hospitality and the welcoming was amazing. Everybody seems to be from the band that was dancing a traditional dance when we get to the airport, all the way down to everybody that we came in contact with. I believe the diaspora got more than what we deserved. And then in a couple weeks or a few weeks since we got here, we finally learned the impact of our responding to the request, meaning the African Union meeting that was having such a challenge to do it in Addis was finally decided to be held after 3 years of absence because of COVID. But this year, I think the powers and superpowers wanted to to have that meeting in Nairobi or other alternative African countries, which was unfortunate. But because as embassies were leaving, as the Western media was making it look like Ethiopia was falling apart in the war was around Addis, the fact that we responded to the request and came in made such a big impact. And now life is continuing as normal as it has ever been.
So would you say Ethiopia is falling apart based on your experience, or what message would you have for the Western world that thought Ethiopia was at the brink of breaking?
Call me all biased, but Ethiopia is the most stable land right now. And I'm not saying there's not a problem. I'm not saying there's not thieves stealing your backpack, but I'll tell you, the system is stable. People know what they're doing. Nobody's willing to put up with anything that's out of line that will hurt the country. But Ethiopia is more stable than California. I live in Oakland.
Wow.
Including the crime, 100%. You can call me biased all you want, but this is the reality. And I'm not afraid of telling the truth.
Awesome. That's a great message. I mean, that was the sense all we had. And so far from everyone that went there, with the exception of, some situations like yours, losing your backpack, who doesn't? I mean, crime here in the States is incredible right now anyways. So let me ask you one more question. And I know in the midst of conflict, in the midst of war, that took almost over a year, the country continues to build itself. What have you seen? What kind of images are you coming home just watching what the war and the conflict has done to the country and the people?
It's beyond my imagination, by any normal person's imagination, the hatred and the ill actions that has been committed in our country. You would never think people that lived with us would think this way, but there's a group of people that have been brainwashed. I don't know if it's almost spiritual, that the amount of hatred against the people that lived with them and that trusted them, that were willing to be even led by them, that they are doing. So, like I said, I could be biased, but being in Addis and around countries, I went to Awasa, Deborah Brown, and all that. I never expected this kind of, when the Italians came, they didn't do this to our forefathers. When the Italians came, they didn't destroy the schools, they didn't destroy hospitals, and they didn't kill the oxen of the farmer, and then so there was just unimaginable, un-Ethiopian meanness that has happened. That's one thing that I learned. But in spite of all that, it just makes you wonder how people, number one, they're resilient. Number two, they know exactly what they want. Number three, this country will never go down. This country will, I'm telling you, even if this government somehow falls apart, the country will continue as stable as anybody could imagine. So, yes, the message that I'm going to come back with, in 2 years, I'm going to repatriate to Ethiopia for my own sake. 100%. Yes, for sure.
Good for you.
Yes.
I think that's what we all need to do. Somehow, in addition to sending money back home, I think going there and contributing to the country itself is also an amazing opportunity. I think that really is commendable. And I'm glad that you're thinking about doing that. So I did say one more question, but I'm going to throw one more question at you.
Yes.
So here in the recent weeks, I'm sure you probably have heard the U.S. administration here has introduced yet another resolution, HR 6600. Are people aware of what that means? Maybe if you've been close to government officials or anyone that might know the political side of things, what is the understanding and the feeling towards that?
It's almost a feeling of hopelessness on the administration in the United States, in the West, because Ethiopia has never been bad to the West, to anybody, matter of fact. So if they go out of their way like this to do and the most unethical kind of policy change over the innocent people, the government's not gonna hurt, because it just exposes the U.S. and the West's agenda. Most people, even in positions, used to think America was a friend, America was a good country, America was a morally standing country. But now it just shows you that we were wrong and all that, including myself and many citizens that live in the United States, American citizens, Ethiopian Americans that live there and all that. So if push come to shove, America is gonna be an old bad friend, and we're just gonna move on. And Ethiopia and Africa is gonna survive. And I don't think they realize how much Ethiopia impacts the rest of Africa. And then thank God for a good government and administration that has a Pan-African thinking. But this is gonna hurt more. It's gonna hurt Ethiopia, but eventually it's gonna hurt the West and the United States when things settle down. But right now, we're all worried about it. It's just worried about it, but resilience is visible, and people in authority are saying, okay, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. We did everything that we could, and if they can't see the reality, what can we do? So I encourage us, the diaspora, the people that live there, to fight tooth and nail so that so that voters know about this. Americans are the nicest people, I believe, because we lived with them for decades. But it looks like the administration fell in a group of bad people that don't have the interest of the American people at heart. That's why they're picking fights with a friendly country in Ethiopia, like Ethiopia, old country, an ancient, reliable group of people with a fear of God. So I don't think this ultimately is going to be good for the U.S. itself. But here we are.
Yeah. It's unfortunate to say we're 100 years long relationship based on something that they don't necessarily fully grasp or fully understand, or not willing to fully grasp and or understand, which really is frustrating. So one last question and we will wrap up. What message do you have first for the diaspora here, since you're right there and you could see, you can touch, you can feel, you can see the vibe, what's happening over there? What message do you have for those of us that didn't make it this round, at least to the diaspora? What message do you have to the American people here? And what message do you have for maybe Biden's administration and the officials that continue to introduce and dish out resolution after resolution?
Well, I want to start with the administration and the people that are trying to push all these kind of resolutions. Number one, stop and think about it. Stop and think about it. What is the ultimate benefit for the U.S., which there is none? If it's about oil, if it's about anything else or resources, I think it's best America to stay friendly with Ethiopia and the administration that actually people clearly voted for. Dr. Abiy's government is supported by majority of the people, not only in Addis, in Oromia, in Amhara region, in all over the country. So people realize that we've never had this kind of government in the last many regimes. So the U.S. administration would do better if they kind of stop and think and not continue doing the wrong things on their own. The second, diaspora, know who you are. No, really, we need to stop and think about how much good we brought from Ethiopia, because yes, most of us are educated in the U.S., but we brought the original cultural goodness that we are raised in. We have the right and wrongs that our parents instilled in us or our society instilled in us. So know who you are, then realize the money and the finances and the benefits that you have can do a whole lot more for your own self in your own country, or in the country of your origin. Our collective resources and assets would do so much here, and there's so much open door for us. So if America doesn't want us the way it's showing us, I think it's time to do an exodus back home. There's enough space, there's enough rooms, and we are needed here. I'm not saying we're all the best people all the times, but I think we learn a thing or two. because of our experiences. So I think we should get together, organize, not organize, not to respond to the politics only, but long term. What do we do? What can we do? What can we do together? So we need to learn doing that. I think is it a third question, or was it that one?
So the American people, the administration and the diaspora, I think the American people, address the American people. I think you spoke of the two.
Right. American people, I think they're the most humane people that in my experience, I've been a couple different countries before I get to the States, but Americans are the nicest people. Knowing that, Americans need to stop listening to the media and only to one side of the news that they hear. Americans need to question what their elected officials are doing, what the finances are doing, where their money is being applied. American taxpayers' money being applied to cause the rest of the world's poverty and destabilizing the rest of the world. I think Americans need to question their officials, and then if their officials are not, and then they need to talk to and listen to the diaspora or the immigrant family that came and joined them. We wanted to become Americans. We wanted to live like Americans. Our children are Americans, so we're one with them. They actually have more in common with us than the politicians. So I think Americans need to pay more attention to what's going on with their own dollar and their own voting voices. So I hope this makes a difference. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That makes a difference, because it's not just the diaspora or the Ethiopian community here that makes a difference. We want the American people to know, the American citizens to know that it impacts them too. I think
Yes.
You alluded to the most important point, which is knowing what their tax dollar is doing and where it's going and for what purposes. And knowing that when you take away certain things because certain demands have not been met, they're talking about humanitarian efforts, but they're taking away from humanitarian efforts because that's what they're doing. They're using money. It's almost like threatening a child not to give them food. You don't do this, you're not going to eat. And I'm not necessarily saying we are fed by them, and if American doesn't give us money, we're not going to be fed. But unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. The country needs all the support that it needs, just like any other country who would face some kind of war needs a level of support, and that is what the country is needing. But they're using that as, I don't know, some kind of ammunition, I guess, to cause this government to buckle down. Do you feel like they're about to do that, or they're going strong?
Oh no, the government is going to go strong. The carrot and stick is not balanced. I think the stick is a whole lot bigger than the carrot, but it's not going to benefit America. And on this side, Ethiopians are really aware of the fact that from now on we don't have any other friends that's going to help us. So we're going to have to take things on our own hands. And if we're going to have to go back and go farming by hand, I think people are getting ready to do that. So I think there's a level of corruption that has infested our system for the last 3 or more decades. We're fighting that one. The current administration from top is focused on that one and pushing for, and then a lot of people in the system, and not in the government system, but in the population, in the elites, are tired of the corruption. So corruption is not going to last. It's not going to last in Ethiopia. So there's a very strong hand against it. If America continues doing that, America is going to be left alone. There's a population of 110 million people. It's not only 110 million people. There's 1.5 billion people that's watching this one. The GERD being fired up has an effect that has touched the whole Africa. African news channels are talking about it. African Union is excited about it. So, and then the message from our leaders is friendly. Let's work together. Let's do this together. And then we're not in. And then the last week's meeting with the African Union and European Union, it was all about that. Let's change our relationship. Let's make it a peer-to-peer relationship, because Africa does have a whole lot of things that they need. So, but it's not going to continue the way it's been going. So, we're good. We're in good hands, and I think I think we're a whole lot more confident than we have ever been. So,
Good. I
yes.
think it's high time that the continent of Africa come together anyways, and I'm glad the African Union meeting happened just a few weeks ago before this. It's
Yes.
it gets better and better by the day. It's so brighter.
It does.
And
Yes.
that makes us all feel much better about the future of the country. So thank you so much for doing this, even though you're doing some other things, and I know it's a lot to handle, but it was so good to hear you
Thank you very much.
from the country, from right there. So we look forward to doing more talking with you, and be
Yes,
safe.
ma'am.
And
Okay.
we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mami. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me, and I'm excited too. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, you heard it. The country's going strong. The people are not backing down. It looks like in one hand they're fighting a homegrown enemy, and in one other hand they're building the country. It's exciting time. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Wendelson, who actually lives here in Auckland and has been for a long time. He's one of the people that went back home to visit when the Prime Minister invited 1 million diaspora to go home and visit. The one question I didn't ask was, did the Americans really leave Ethiopia? We would have heard of it if that was the case. So I'm glad to have this opportunity to speak with him from the country, from the field, and knowing that he could see and he can hear and he can feel and get the essence of where the people of Ethiopia are in this whole situation. We'll continue to have a dialogue, and we'll continue to bring it to you. But thank you so very much for staying with us and for watching. Have a good evening. This is Independent Voice, Namame.